Welcome. What do? We are William here. We're looking at Unit 19, evaluating feedback, information and recommending improvements in the workplace. This is the Level 6 Diploma in Construction Site Management Construction. And if you've followed our guidance and you have chosen the mandatory and the optional units, you'll be coming to the end of your qualification. Well, this has a credit value of 7, which makes it the smallest unit. 4 learning outcomes, which makes it quite a nice unit to finish your qualification. Unit overview. Management was once practiced from the top downwards. That is, those of a senior position dictated what was to happen to those below them, how it was to happen and when it was to happen. We now work on a more level playing field, equality and diversity. This is where all voices are treated with equal respect in accordance with position, experience and knowledge. To this end, legitimate feedback moving up the chain of command allows those at the top to make better informed decisions, which only increases the ability of those at the top to lead with more authority, as that which they are now advocating and dictating makes sense or makes more sense to those below them, thus forming team and a more positive outcome. Of course, working with yesterday's news is of no use, and that is why when it comes to feedback needs to be continuous, and therefore there is a need for sound feedback practices and procedures to be in place. Evidencing those practices and procedures is what this unit is all about, and in accordance with the learning outcomes of this unit. So, speaking of outcomes, let's have a look at those 4 learning outcomes, and let me give some explanation to the types of product information which will be relevant. First learning outcome: promote the value of making improvements from feedback and encourage the collection of feedback. This is often done at induction and including the induction material. It's often done at pre-start meetings with subcontractors where you're seeking their specialist knowledge, you're seeking their feedback. Let's go back to the induction material, which is of paramount importance. It could be that in your induction material you have a section which is don't walk by, where you have a suggestions box where operatives and site users can deposit anonymously information on how the site could be improved. At induction, you could promote within your induction material the value of that type of information. So promote the value of making improvements from feedback and encourage the collection of feedback. Induction material is one example. 2. Ensure feedback information from relevant methods or sources is obtained, investigated and assessed. So moving on from the suggestion box, you've got that material. What do you do with it? You evaluate it, perhaps seek advice. It could be that the same thing is suggested more than once from different people, which gives that suggestion some weight. You would then evaluate it in a meeting, if it's a health and safety meeting with the health and safety advisor, and then that's been assessed, and then you could then present it back at a site meeting or a health and safety meeting. So ensure feedback information from relevant methods or sources is obtained, investigated and assessed. We've now dealt with that. Of course, I'm running down the health and safety route. You could use any of your roles or responsibilities as a site manager. Number 3, recommend improvements from feedback received and justify the recommendations to relevant people. I think I actually covered this when we went through the second learning outcome, when I suggested bringing it up at a construction site meeting and record it in the meeting minutes. And if there was a cost involvement, you would have to justify that cost if it's a large cost and upscale that cost for others to agree. And 4, summarise changes and improvements from feedback which have been agreed and promote them for adoption and use. Well, let's take a health and safety report. You've got some issues and some suggestions, and as a construction site manager you have been in discussion, negotiations with your health and safety manager for those improvements, and you agree them. But then there's a cost and a time issue, and they have to be agreed, so you upscale them, and then you have to promote them on site during the site meetings, during RAMs, and to ensure that they are adopted and used. It's easier for me to run down, or it's easy for me to run down the health and safety line when giving product information for this unit, evaluating feedback, information and recommending improvements in the workplace. It's a topic which can be easily used to evidence this unit. As I said before, it may be the case you use another element of your roles and responsibility. Well, I trust that's been helpful. If you've gone down the selected units, the optional and the mandatory units, that now brings you to the end of your qualification.